Most traders quit right when they're about to become profitable. Not because the strategy stopped working, not because the market changed. They quit because staying in the game started to feel pointless. The effort feels wasted. The discipline feels exhausting. The entire process starts to feel like pushing a boulder uphill with no summit in sight. That's burnout, and most people think it's the enemy. It's not. Burnout in trading isn't a signal that something is wrong with the trader. It's a signal that something fundamental needs to shift. The way most traders approach this feeling is backwards. They try to push through it. They try to motivate themselves harder. They consume more content, watch more videos, study more charts. They treat burnout like a weakness that needs to be overcome with discipline or willpower. But burnout isn't weakness, it's information. And when a trader learns to read that information correctly, everything changes. If you have ever felt completely exhausted by trading even when you were not actively losing, hit the like button right now. Not for the algorithm, because it tells me you have actually lived this. The exhaustion comes from fighting the wrong battle. Most traders think they are fighting the market. They think the war is about predicting the next candle, catching the next move, or proving their analysis was correct. But the real battle is internal. It's the war between what the trader knows they should do and what they actually do when the market is open, between the rules they set and the rules they break, between the person they think they are and the person their trading results reveal them to be. That battle is relentless, and it drains traders in ways they did not expect when they started. There is a specific phase in trading where burnout hits hardest. It is not in the beginning when everything is new and exciting. It is not at the end when a trader has finally figured things out. It happens in the middle, the brutal middle, the phase where the strategy works on paper but fails in execution, where the trader knows what to do but cannot seem to do it consistently, where every session feels like Groundhog Day, same mistakes, same emotional patterns, same frustration. This is where burnout lives, and this is where most traders quit. What makes it worse is that nobody talks about this phase. The content most traders consume skips right over it. Everyone wants to talk about strategy, setups, indicators, or the glory of big wins. Nobody wants to talk about the plateau, the phase where nothing seems to improve, where the account stays flat for weeks or months, where the trader does everything right one day and then falls apart the next. This phase feels like proof that trading is not going to work out. It feels like evidence that the trader is not cut out for this, but it is actually the phase where real traders are built. Subscribe if you want real psychology, not motivational quotes. This channel focuses on what actually keeps traders in the game. Something my mentor told me during my own plateau phase stuck with me for years. He said, "Plateaus are where mastery is developed. Anyone can improve when things are exciting. Only real traders improve when nothing is happening." At the time, I did not fully understand what he meant. I was frustrated. I wanted progress. I wanted my account to reflect the effort I was putting in, but progress was not showing up. What I did not realize then was that the plateau was not a sign that I was stuck. It was a sign that I was being rebuilt. Let me give you a quick example. There was a trader named Daniel who reached out to me after 6 months of consistent break-even trading. Not losing, not winning, just flat. He had a solid strategy. His backtests were clean, his risk management was decent, but every time he sat down to trade, something went wrong. Sometimes he would hold a loser too long, sometimes he would close a winner too early. Sometimes he would take trades that did not fit his rules because he was bored. He told me he was exhausted, not from losing money, from the mental effort it took to stay disciplined. He said it felt like he was fighting himself every single day, and he was starting to wonder if it was worth it. What Daniel was experiencing was not a strategy problem, it was an identity problem. He was still operating from the identity of someone who needed trading to validate him. Someone who needed every session to feel productive. Someone who needed movement to feel like he was making progress. That identity was draining him, because the market does not care about validation. The market does not care if a trader feels productive. The market rewards patience, restraint, and emotional neutrality. And those qualities require a completely different identity than the one most traders bring to the screen. Burnout happens when there is a mismatch between who the trader is and who the market demands them to become. The trader wants action. The market demands patience. The trader wants certainty. The market offers probabilities. The trader wants to feel smart. The market only cares about execution. The trader wants excitement. The market rewards boredom. That gap creates friction, and friction over time creates exhaustion. Here is what happens. A trader starts out excited. They learn a strategy. They backtest. They feel ready. They open their first live account and immediately realize that live trading feels completely different from backtesting. The emotions are heavier, the decisions feel harder, the doubt creeps in faster. But they push through, they keep going, they start to see some wins, they feel like they are getting somewhere. Then the plateau hits. The wins stop feeling satisfying, the losses start feeling heavier, the account stays flat, the trader starts questioning everything. Is the strategy broken? Is the market different now? Am I doing something wrong? They watch their trades back and see the mistakes clearly. They know what they should have done, but in the moment, they did something else. And that realization is maddening, because it means the problem is not the strategy, it is not the market, it is them. That is when burnout really sets in. When the trader realizes they are the variable. When they see that their biggest obstacle is not outside, it is inside. And there is no quick fix for that. No indicator. No pattern, no mentor who can trade for them. The only way through is to become someone else. Someone more patient. Someone more disciplined. Someone who can sit in front of the screen and do nothing when there is nothing to do. Someone who can take a loss and feel nothing. Someone who can take a win and still follow the process. That transformation is not fast, it is not exciting, and it is not optional. Let me ask you something and actually answer it in the comments if you are comfortable. How long have you been trading? Drop your timeline below. No judgment, just curiosity. Most traders treat burnout like a problem that needs solving. They think if they just rest for a few days, watch a motivational video, or switch strategies, the feeling will go away. But burnout is not a problem. It is feedback. It is the internal system telling the trader that the way they are approaching trading is not sustainable. That the emotional effort required to force discipline is too high, that the identity they are operating from is not aligned with what the market demands, that something has to change. The traders who quit during burnout are not weak, they are just interpreting the signal wrong. They think burnout means they are not built for trading, but burnout actually means they are close to a breakthrough. They are at the edge of transformation, the old identity is breaking down, the ego is being dismantled, the need for validation is being stripped away, the market is forcing them to become someone new. And that process feels terrible. It feels like failure. It feels like proof that trading is not going to work. But it is actually the only way trading works. There was a trader in my community named Sarah who traded consistently for 8 months and then hit a wall. She told me she could not look at charts anymore. She said every time she opened her platform, she felt dread. Not fear, dread. Like she already knew what was going to happen. She would follow her rules for 2 trades, then break them on the 3rd. She would have a good week, then blow half of it in one revenge trade. She said the mental exhaustion was worse than the financial loss. She was tired of fighting herself. She was tired of knowing what to do and not doing it. She asked me if maybe she should just stop. I told her something that I wish someone had told me earlier. Burnout is not the end. It is the middle. It is the phase where the ego dies so the trader can live. The part of her that needed to feel smart, that needed to win, that needed validation from the market, that part was burning out. And that was good, because that part was never going to make her profitable. The part of her that could execute without emotion, that could sit through boredom, that could take a loss and move on without revenge, that part was being built. But it was not being built through motivation. It was being built through exhaustion, through repetition, through the painful realization that the old way does not work. Sarah did not quit. She scaled back. She went from trading every day to trading twice a week. She stopped trying to force progress and started focusing on consistency. She stopped measuring herself by P and L and started measuring herself by execution. Did she follow her rules? Did she stay emotionally neutral? Did she exit when she was supposed to? Those became the only metrics that mattered. And slowly, the burnout lifted. Not because she rested, but because she stopped fighting the wrong battle. The shift from burnout to clarity does not happen through willpower. It happens through acceptance. Acceptance that the market does not care. Acceptance that the trader is the problem and the solution. Acceptance that progress is not linear. Acceptance that discipline is not a feeling. It is a practice. And practices are boring. They are repetitive. They do not feel heroic. They feel mundane. But mundane is where mastery lives. Here is the framework that helped me understand burnout differently. I call it the effort mismatch trap. Most traders pour their effort into the wrong areas. They spend hours analyzing charts, studying patterns, looking for edge, and all of that feels productive. But the real effort needs to go into something much less exciting: emotional regulation. Staying calm during a losing streak, not revenge trading after a bad day, closing the platform when there is no setup, letting winners run even when it feels uncomfortable, taking the loss even when it hurts, the ego. That is where the real work is. And that work is exhausting because it is invisible. Nobody sees it. It does not feel like progress, but it is the only thing that separates break-even traders from profitable ones. Most traders burn out because they are working hard on the wrong things. They are optimizing entries when they should be optimizing their emotional state. They are studying more setups when they should be studying their own behavior. They are looking for better strategies when they should be building better habits. The effort feels wasted because it is not moving them closer to the real problem. And the real problem is always internal. Another trader I knew named Aaron had this exact issue. He spent 3 hours every night backtesting. He had spreadsheets, he had journals, he had a detailed plan. But when the market opened, none of it mattered. He would see a setup and hesitate. He would take a trade and immediately doubt it. He would close early because he did not trust himself to hold. He told me he felt like two different people. The person who studied at night was calm, rational, prepared. The person who traded during the day was reactive, emotional, chaotic, and living in that split was burning him out. The gap between who Aaron was in preparation and who he was in execution is the gap that exhausts most traders, because closing that gap requires something most people are not ready to do. It requires letting go of the need to be right, letting go of the need to feel smart, letting go of the need to capture every move. It requires becoming someone who can execute a plan even when it feels wrong. Someone who can take a small loss without spiraling. Someone who can sit through an entire session and take 0 trades because nothing fit the plan. That person does not feel like a hero. That person feels boring. And most traders do not want to be boring. But boring trading is profitable trading. Boring means the trader is not chasing. Boring means the trader is not forcing. Boring means the trader is not operating from emotion. Boring means the process is working. And the process only works when the trader stops trying to be impressive and starts trying to be consistent. That shift is uncomfortable. It is not glamorous. It does not make for good content. But it is the shift that separates the ones who make it from the ones who quit. What risk to reward are you trading right now? 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 3? Drop it below. My mentor once said something during a period when I was completely burned out. He said, "You are not cursed. You are just early. And early traders always pay the tuition." That hit me hard, because I had been treating my plateau like punishment, like the market was out to get me, like I was doing something fundamentally wrong. But I was not wrong. I was just early. I had not developed the emotional tolerance required to trade consistently. I had the knowledge, I had the strategy, I had the plan, but I had not built the internal capacity to execute that plan under pressure. And that capacity is not built through studying. It is built through repetition, through sitting in discomfort, through feeling the urge to revenge, trade, and not doing it, through feeling the fear of missing out and ignoring it, through feeling bored and staying patient anyway. That is the tuition my mentor was talking about. And burnout is part of the tuition. It is the price of transformation. The market charges every trader that price. Some pay it and quit. Some pay it and stay. The ones who stay are not smarter. They are not more talented. They are just willing to sit in the discomfort long enough for the shift to happen. There is a moment that happens during burnout that most traders miss. It is subtle. It is quiet. It does not feel like a breakthrough. It feels like resignation. The trader stops fighting. They stop trying to force the market to give them what they want. They stop needing every trade to be perfect. They stop needing every session to be productive. They just show up, they follow the plan, they take what the market gives, they leave the rest. And in that resignation, something shifts. The emotional intensity drops, the desperation fades, the trading starts to feel lighter, not because the market changed, because the trader did. That shift is not dramatic. It is not a light bulb moment. It is more like waking up one day and realizing the thing that used to bother you does not bother you anymore. The loss that used to send you into a spiral now just feels like part of the process. The missed trade that used to haunt you for days now barely registers. The boredom that used to make you force trades now feels comfortable. That is when the trader knows they are through the burnout, not because they are not tired, but because the exhaustion is no longer fighting them. It is just there, and they have learned to work with it instead of against it. Let me tell you about a trader named Jordan who experienced this shift. He traded for over a year with almost no progress. His account went up and down, but never really grew. He was doing everything right technically. His setups were solid, his risk management was clean, but emotionally, he was all over the place. He would take a loss and spiral for the rest of the day. He would take a win and immediately get overconfident. He would miss a trade and feel like he was falling behind. He told me he was exhausted. He said trading felt like a mental war every single day, and he did not know how much longer he could keep fighting. I told him to stop fighting, stop trying to control how he felt, stop trying to force discipline through willpower. Just notice. Notice when the urge to revenge trade showed up. Notice when the fear of missing out appeared. Notice when the ego wanted validation. Do not judge it. Do not fight it. Just notice. And then follow the plan anyway, not because he felt like it, but because that was the agreement he made with himself. Jordan did that for 3 months, and during those 3 months, something shifted. The emotional intensity did not go away, but his relationship to it changed. He stopped seeing emotions as problems. He started seeing them as signals. Fear was not a reason to avoid a trade. It was just fear. Greed was not a reason to overtrade. It was just greed. Boredom was not a reason to force a setup. It was just boredom. He could feel all of it and still follow his plan. That was the shift. Not the absence of emotion, but the ability to act independently of it. That is what burnout teaches. It teaches the trader that they cannot rely on how they feel. They cannot wait until they feel motivated or confident or ready. They have to execute regardless. And that is exhausting at first, because it feels like swimming upstream. But over time, it becomes automatic. The trader stops needing to feel a certain way to trade well. They just trade, win or lose. Good day or bad day, excited or bored. The process stays the same. And when the process stays the same, the results start to shift. One thing that helped me during my own burnout was this realization. Discipline is not about doing what feels right. It is about doing what was agreed upon. The plan was made when the trader was calm, rational, outside the heat of the moment. That plan is the trader's best thinking. But during trading, emotions flood in. Fear, greed, doubt, impatience. Those emotions will always argue against the plan. They will make the plan feel wrong. They will make breaking the rules feel justified. And if the trader listens to those emotions, they will stay stuck forever. The only way forward is to trust the plan more than the feeling. That sounds simple, but it is one of the hardest things a trader will ever do, because feelings are convincing. They feel true. They feel urgent. They feel like they matter. But in trading, feelings are noise. The plan is signal. And learning to filter noise from signal is the transformation trading demands. Comment one rule you know you need to follow, but keep breaking below. Drop it and let me know. The identity shift required to move through burnout is profound. The trader has to stop being someone who needs trading to feel good. They have to stop being someone who measures their worth by their P and L. They have to stop being someone who needs to be right. They have to become someone who can lose and feel nothing. Someone who can win and stay neutral. Someone who can sit in boredom without needing stimulation. Someone who can follow a plan even when it feels wrong. That is not a strategy shift. That is a personality shift. And personality shifts take time. They take repetition. They take discomfort. They take burnout. Most traders think burnout is the sign they should quit. But burnout is actually the sign they are getting close. Close to the breakthrough. Close to the shift. Close to becoming the kind of trader who can actually stay in the game long enough to win. The market is not trying to destroy them. It is trying to rebuild them. It is stripping away the parts that will never work. The ego, the need for validation, the attachment to outcomes, the belief that effort should equal immediate results. All of that has to go, and the process of letting it go feels like burnout. Here is what nobody tells traders about this phase. It does not end with a bang, it ends with a whisper. The trader does not suddenly wake up one day feeling amazing and ready to conquer the market. They wake up one day and realize they have been following their plan consistently for 2 weeks without thinking about it. They realize they took a loss yesterday and did not feel the need to make it back. They realize they missed a great setup and did not beat themselves up about it. They realize trading has become boring, and boring is exactly where they need to be. Burnout is not a problem. It is a signal that the old identity is dying, a signal that the transformation is happening, a signal that the trader is exactly where they need to be, even though it feels like they are stuck. The ones who quit during burnout never see what is on the other side. The ones who stay discover that burnout was not the end. It was the beginning of something real. The shift happens slowly, then all at once. And when it does, everything that felt impossible starts feeling inevitable. This is where we talk about the part of trading nobody else talks about. Master the mind and the markets will follow.